Hello, this is Sondra Oster Baras, bringing you a few words of Bible from the heart of Biblical Israel. This week's Torah portion is Lech Lecha, Genesis 12, and it begins with that wonderful opening that God speaks to Abraham, singling him out for the first time. We meet Abraham really as an individual, as someone with a destiny, with a special mission from God. We meet him right here this week in this week's Torah portion at the very beginning. God speaks to Abraham. He says, Lech Lecha, go forward, leave your home, your father's house, go to the land that I will show you. And, because we in the Jewish tradition are very connected to the Torah portion, and we tend to begin studying a particular issue where the Torah portion begins. So when we begin in Genesis 12, we may not remember what we actually read in Genesis 11. But I want to remind you, okay? Because at the very end of Genesis 11, we learned that Terach, Abraham's father, had already begun the journey to the land of Canaan. We read that Terach took Abraham, his son, Lot, the son of Haran, his grandson, Sarai, his daughter-in-law, who was Abraham's wife, and he went with them from Ur of the Chaldees in order to go towards the land of Canaan. But they came as far as Haran, and they settled there. Okay, so of course the question is, if indeed Abraham began this journey at the initiative of Terach, already leaving to go on towards the land of Canaan, what then is so special about God speaking to Abraham with this seeming new and original commandment to go to the land of Canaan that we read about in Genesis 12, verse 1? So there are a number of different interpretations. One of them is that, yes, the family departed from Ur of the Chaldees to go towards Canaan, but they got stuck and they sat in Haran. And therefore, God speaks to Abraham when he is already in Haran, and it is there that he says, okay, you need to continue the journey. The problem with that is that in the first verse of chapter 12, we learn that God says, go forth from your country, from your birthplace, and from the land of your fathers. Now we know that Abraham's country and his birthplace is Ur of the Chaldees. So yes, he's leaving his father's house if he's departing from Haran, but he is not leaving his birthplace because that would have been Ur of the Chaldees. So actually what happened practically, who said what when, is really not what I found a focus on here, because chances are there were a number of different conversations that happened with Terach, with God, etc. But what I would like to focus on is Amidrash, a story that is not written in the Bible, but that is part of Jewish tradition, that shines light on some of this and actually gives a perspective that I find extremely relevant today. The story goes as follows. While the family was in Ur of the Chaldees, Nimrod was an evil king, and it, of course, was a very pagan country. Abraham, already from the time he was very young, had begun to question the validity of pagan beliefs. And I guess he started making noises about this, and he started doubting this major worship that was then in that area in Mesopotamia. And word came to Nimrod the king, who was quite annoyed that this squirt, Abraham, is challenging the beliefs of the entire kingdom. And actually, took him, arrested him, and decided to, question him, challenged him. Do you believe in this one God, which is ridiculous, or do you still continue to believe in the pagan gods? And Abraham stood his ground. As a result, Nimrod threw him into a fire, into a furnace, a burning furnace. A miracle happened, and Abraham walked out alive. An amazing, amazing thing. The Midrash then continues to say, or to intimate at least, that this is what was the underlying reason for Terach to suddenly get up and leave. He felt, okay, Abraham was saved now by a miracle, but miracles don't last forever, and that it would probably be a good idea for Terach and the entire family to get out of there. And that, therefore, became the reason why Terach left to go to the land of Canaan, an area that is in a completely different region, a different sovereignty, where Nimrod's arm does not reach. So we really have a motivation for Terach to leave that has nothing to do with some kind of a destiny, moving towards fulfilling a destiny that God has established. He's moving to Canaan because he sees it as a possible area of refuge. And therefore, when he gets to Haran and feels safe there, he doesn't feel a need to continue his journey. Abraham, on the other hand, started the journey with Terach, but somewhere along the way, and maybe even earlier, maybe at the same time that Abraham leaves with Terach, his journey takes on a completely different meaning. Whereas Terach is escaping the threat of Nimrod, Abraham is going towards a land that God will show him, a land that will then become obvious it is Canaan, a land that once he gets there, Abraham will be told, I will give this land to your children. And at that point in time, upon his arrival in the land of Canaan, what becomes the land of Israel, at his arrival as he's standing there at the Oak of Moreh, right near the city of Shechem, he is told by God that he has been selected. He will be the father of a great nation, which becomes the nation of Israel. This nation will receive this land, the land of Canaan, which will become the land of Israel, and they will have a special connection with God, the God of Israel. So you might say that both Terach and Abraham left from the same place and aimed to go to the same place, to the land of Canaan. But they went for two very different reasons. Terach went to escape danger. Abraham went to reach his God-given destiny. And I think that we can say the same thing if we look at the modern Zionist movement. A great deal of the motivation amongst many of those Jews who came to Israel or who dreamed to come to Israel or to establish a Jewish state came from the fact that they suffered anti-Semitism all over the world. Of course, the worst example of that was the Holocaust, but even before the Holocaust, the pogroms in Europe, and since the Holocaust, anti-Semitism in the Soviet Union, persecution that was felt by Ethiopian Jews, and different groups in Iran, Iranian Jews, different types of persecution that was suffered by different Jews became an important motivation for them to leave and come to Israel. And they were seeking a safe haven from anti-Semitism. And this is a very legitimate reason to come to Israel. But those of us who see a bigger picture understand that it's not just about a safe haven. It is about a destiny. This is the land that God chose to give to the people of Israel. This is the land that God promised to Abraham as an everlasting possession. This is the land where God promises in Deuteronomy 30, even after a period of exile, even after the curse, we will be gathered up. God will gather us up from the four corners of the earth, and he will bring us back to this land in fulfillment of that original vision, promise, and fulfillment of that original destiny that God established here when he promised it to Abraham, our forefather, 4,000 years ago. And so there's always a combination. It's never just about a safe haven. The connection of the Jewish people to the land of Israel has never, ever been just about a safe place from anti-Semitism. It has, even more importantly than any other thing, it has been the place where God selected to give to the children of Israel. Have a wonderful weekend. Shabbat Shalom.
I hope you enjoyed that video, and we'd like to be sure you're getting all of our video content. So just click on the subscribe button below as well as on the notification bell, and that way you will have easy access to all our material. We look forward to staying in touch with you. God bless you, and have a wonderful day. I hope you enjoyed that video, and we'd like to be sure you're getting all of our video content. So just click on the subscribe button below as well as on the notification bell, and that way you will have easy access to all our material. We look forward to staying in touch with you. God bless you, and have a wonderful day.